Today we're going to talk about hatchlings that have difficulty eating out of the egg and how you get them started and ensure that you have viable animals that have a great life ahead of them. What's going on, everybody? It is Adam at Proper Royals. Thank you for joining me today. I want to talk to you about something that doesn't get talked about a whole lot in our hobby, and that's troublesome eaters that are hatchlings. Everybody knows ball pythons can be picky, persnickety eaters, and there's a ton of videos out there about that. But one of the things I've learned going through this first season and actually breeding, hatching, raising my hatchlings was I had some hatchlings that just would not eat, and I was concerned that they were going to die. So I started polling some of my breeder friends and the community that joins me on various ways of interacting on social media. It seems like I had an inordinately high number of ball python hatchlings that wouldn't eat. I had 3 out of 15 hatchlings that I could not get to eat to start with. Most people were saying that they were getting like 1 or 2 a whole breeding season across a big breeding collection. So it seems like my numbers were pretty high. Those are kind of anecdotal data numbers. I'm not gonna just say that, you know, I suffered 20% of my hatchlings that wouldn't eat and most people experience X, Y, or Z. I can't really quantify that, but it seemed like mine were a high number. I give you the spoiler right now. As of early November, I'm down to only 1 hatchling that hasn't eaten on its own. He has still been eating with assist feeds, so there's been success, and I'm really happy for that. And all of my hatchlings have still survived. None of them died or had to be euthanized or anything like that, which is kind of a dark topic as well. So before we jump into that, if we haven't met before, this channel is all about my family's ball python hobby and our journey from hobbyist to a business. We document everything right here on the Proper Royals channel. Down below you find links to all of our socials and our collection of NFTs, as well as podcasts, Morph Market store, all that good stuff. So check out what we got going on here. So to recap, I had 3 that wouldn't eat, and I started doing some research and checking with friends, and of course, I say of course, it's still not talked about that much, but assist feeding is a viable option. Now these 3 hatchlings, 2 were from one clutch and 1 was from a different clutch, and I'll tell you, as a whole, the first clutch body weight of the hatchlings that came out in general was a good bit less than that second clutch. So there were 8 eggs in the first clutch, and those hatchlings came out about 15 to 20% lighter than the second clutch, which only had 7 eggs. Those were physically noticeably larger hatchlings out of the egg. So 2 of that first clutch would not eat, and then I had 1 out of the second clutch. So what I did was I started researching assist feeding, which for a first season breeder, that was a daunting task. It was something I had hoped I wouldn't have to face this season, and frankly it seemed pretty overwhelming to myself and the snake. But I'll tell you, it is not a force feed, it is not shoving something like into it. It is a different experience. It truly, I like the word assist feed, because while you do have to pry open the snake's mouth and put the food in its mouth, it's neat to see that you're truly assisting it, and on some of the hatchlings it was almost like a light bulb went off that you could see, where it was like, oh, I'm gonna eat this, I'm gonna finish eating this. Now some of them you have to work further in, and I've had kind of across the spectrum experience on that. I'm just gonna take you through each snake. So this first snake was from the second clutch, and he was a little bit bigger to begin with. I only had to assist feed him 1 time. I assist fed all rat pinkies is what I went with. Mouse pinkies were kind of too small, and frankly they were and these were frozen thawed. By the time you freeze and thaw a mouse pinky, it's a pile of mush, and I'm sorry to be graphic, but that's what it was. So the rat pinkies, I would get the smallest ones that I could find to start with, and across the board, that is what I tried to assist feed with. 2 out of the 3 took those very well. So that first snake, it had a rat pinky 1 time assist feed, and then a week later I actually put in a live rat pup in it, a very small one, just a slight amount of hair, and that snake actually struck and took the rat on its own. Fantastic. This week when I went to feed it, I put in a mouse hopper because I really wanted to try and trigger that response, and it actually would not mess with the mouse after it had already had a rat. So last night when I was feeding the rest of my snakes, I put in a frozen thawed rat pinky that had been warmed up, and I just laid it outside of its little hide, and it took that frozen thawed rodent. That's great news because my feeding choice is frozen thawed rats. For all my animals is my preference. So that animal is now, makes me feel so good. It's eaten twice on its own, once struck live rat, once eaten a frozen thawed rat. So that's the path I'm going to continue with it on. What I want to do is share an aha moment before we get too far into this video. And one of them was, I saw a great, and I have to find it. This has been some time ago that I saw this. It wasn't recent. Maybe I can find it on Morph Market. Somebody recommended for the smallest hatchlings that have the most trouble eating, while I said it wasn't that bad of an experience to assist feed, it is traumatic, especially if the snake is really fighting it, and it can become, I hope not physically traumatic, but I'm sure it's not comfortable on the snake's throats. For my smallest one, which is this guy, he's had the most trouble, and I've had the least amount of success with him, but I have had success. I ended up finally, I saw and I read, to cut off a frozen rat, a big frozen rat, like a medium frozen rat's tail, and cut it down to a size that would resemble a very small rat pinky. So first they get the smell of the rat, but it's much less intrusive. If you imagine the shape of a rat tail, it flows right down. I cut it to probably just under 2 inches, kind of the length of what a rat pinky would be. So I was still able to save the full-size rat to feed to my other animals. And this is a frozen thawed animal, of course. I'm not cutting up a live rat. And I did the assist feed with the rat tail, and that did very, very well. It perked up the animal, gave him a good bit of energy. I could tell that it was sort of a resuscitating effect of calories and nutrition. He did poo, it passed, it worked that way. So the following week, I then fed it, assist fed it a rat pinky, and it did take that with the assist feed. Now I will say last night I tried to assist feed it and leave it frozen thawed. It did neither. So that's my one animal remaining that is still not eaten on its own. I'm still working with them. I think that we have a responsibility to know how to do this, but also if the snake can be saved, let's save the snake. And full transparency, these animals range in market value, in my estimation, from about a $40 normal to a $400 female maker het clown banana pastel. So I'm not attaching financial values to these animals' lives. I think they're good for the hobby. I think there's a kid somewhere that would love a pet. So I want to get this, you know, and I want to see it through. I want there to be success. I want to know that my animals laid no slugs. I hatched every one of those eggs, and I want every one of those snakes to live and have a viable life and enjoy themselves and have an enjoyable life in the care of an owner. That second one I'm still working with. I will probably try and either size down the rat pinky again, wherever I could source a smaller one, or revisit the rat tail method this next time around. The third one that I was really surprised about, because he's the most skittish. This one I actually keep in an opaque tub because he is just, him seeing out through a clear tub was clearly causing anxiety and a challenge for that snake. I keep him in an opaque tub because he's just so skittish. And one thing to note that's a theme through this whole thing, there's no one-size-fits-all answer for this. If you haven't caught on, you gotta know each snake, and the adults are the same way. Some of them I know are gonna eat every week. Some of them, they're gonna skip and eat once a month. And I just, you know, you gotta know your animals, you gotta spend time with your animals, and you gotta be patient enough to learn those things about your animals. So this third one really surprised me. He takes the assist feed, but he resists it the most. The other two are kind of like, okay, just feed me this thing. This guy fights. I had assist fed him 2 rat pinkies, frozen thawed, and on the live animals, he has never struck, never successfully eaten a live animal. Last night I grew frustrated because I wasn't having success. He wasn't having an assist feed. He did not take a rat hopper earlier in the week, so I just left the rat pinky warmed up in his tub and closed up shop because I was, like I said, I was frustrated, and frustrated is not the time you need to be assist feeding. I let him be. I was going to go another week and just say, you know what, that's fine. He'll skip this week and he'll be fine. And he would have been. They're not. None of them are in grave danger of dying if they miss a week, kind of deal. I came to check this morning, and lo and behold, he ate that rat pup or that rat pink last night, frozen thawed. So I'm pretty excited. He's got 3 rat pinky meals in him now, so his body is gonna, you know, he's got the nutrients he needs. He's not growing like a lot of the others are at the moment, but he's doing well. And now he's taken a frozen thawed rat on his own. Huge success. So 2 of my 3 troublesome hatchlings have now eaten on their own. The 3rd one I'm still going to work with. I'm very optimistic for. And I'm excited to see this through and to have the hatchlings succeed. If I could be of any assistance to you on just talking you through stuff or letting you know what worked for me, I don't claim to be an expert, but always feel free to email me at properroyals@gmail.com. And one thing to clarify, I will tell you, it sounds like I'm offering food constantly to these animals. These are very short offerings. With the rat or the mouse hoppers, I leave those in there about 15 minutes. If they don't eat, it goes on to another, you know, I kind of cycle them through, go on to another animal. And the assist feeding I'm doing at most once a week. And like I say, this week, last night, I was prepared to take the week off if they weren't going to have them. So I would give, you know, I space them out no more than once a week with a true assist feeding. Whereas normal hatchling, you might feed every 4 to 5 days to get them out of the gate and to really, you know, jumpstart their growth. Keep it right here for all the information I have to share with you. It's my experience. I don't claim to be an expert on this stuff, but I also think that us talking transparently in the hobby makes everything a little bit better and that we can all learn from each other. So check out these videos right here to keep up with us here at Proper Royals. And until next time, see ya!